Out to the site where CBS NFL analyst and future Hall of Famer J.J. Watt joins the conversation. J.J. on the call of what I like to call the noun matchup: people, places, and things. When these people get together in this place, only one thing happens. J.J., 22 in a row now for the Steelers at home against the Browns. In your career, was there a building where the air was just heavier? How much does that play into a matchup like this?
There's certainly that. The AFC North kind of has those rivalries that go so far back, and unfortunately the Cleveland Browns have been on the losing side of this building for a very long time. But today the story of it was they had to get into an offense where they had to throw the ball 58 times with rookie quarterback Jalen Gabriel, and that's just not the game plan they wanted to have coming into today, but that's the way it turned out.
I want to pull out a couple of those strings that you offer there. Let's go Steelers first, because the divisional waters in some ways have parted for them. They look primed to claim this one. We'll see how the numbers react to the outcomes here once again. But when you look at a run game that came to life here on Sunday and what they can be down the stretch, how much positivity is there boiling in that building right now?
Yeah, I think early in this season, they just found ways to win. They weren't playing their best football at all early on, but they still scraped out these victories with not giving up penalties and having a plus turnover ratio. But now they're starting to look like a football team that's figuring it out. Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf having a lot of success recently. The defense taking the ball away, getting sacks, starting to look like that old Pittsburgh Steelers defense that we know. So as that gap widens, they're going to continue to get stronger here and hopefully put a lock hold on it if you're a Steelers fan.
Yeah, identity, you want it established through this first third of the season, and it looks, as you said, like a Pittsburgh Steelers team that we've come to know despite all the changes here personnel-wise. On the other side, Dillon Gabriel, you said it. He was asked to throw the ball maybe a few too many times. You are playing from a chase game script that's always going to inflate those numbers. But how do you assess the play also regarding what we know is waiting behind Gabriel for an opportunity?
Yeah, I personally think that's a conversation that the media loves to make because it's a conversation that draws clicks and everything. I think Dillon Gabriel has this offense. He's in command of it. He's the one who they are trying to build this around, and Shedeur is going to continue to grow and develop in that role behind him. But you just talk to everybody around the organization. You see how he handles himself. You see how Coach Stefanski talks about Dillon Gabriel. You can tell they want to try and cultivate it, but you have to get the run game going. You have to make it easier on him. You have to stay ahead of the sticks. And today, a lot of drop balls, in addition to some overthrows and behind throws. But he's the guy that they want to build around, I think. And that conversation is always going to be there because of who Shedeur is and what he did in college.
That's how they approach the draft. That's the conversation that now carries through. But as you said, Dillon Gabriel, you can learn some things in losses as well. Calm in the face of adversity. We'll see if they can start stacking up some wins from here. J.J. Watt, always appreciative of your time.
Thank you, guys.
J.J. Watt and Ian Eagle on the call, and you know where to start each and every Sunday. That's with our team on the NFL Today. JB, Coach, Matt Ryan, and Nate getting you set starting Sundays at 12 Eastern Time. Enjoy the NFL Today on CBS and streaming on Paramount+. All right, a look here at some Aaron Rodgers numbers. Most passing touchdowns, 40-plus years old. Rodgers with 38, the oldest player in the NFL at 41 years old, now sitting at 4-1. Back in studio with the guys. Don't you just love it when the numbers work out? The numbers on the scoreboard worked out perfectly here for your Steelers, Mac. Your thoughts on this performance against the young and I don't know, talent-deficient team? I'm trying to be nice here. A bad team in the Cleveland Browns.
And yes, the Cleveland Browns, they're a bad team, but they're the wrong team you want to get in a sparring match with, because if you're not careful, they can put you to sleep. We've seen that, throughout recent moments with the Cleveland Browns. And that's why this game was so important for Pittsburgh, because you're a playoff caliber team sitting at the top of your division, playing against a divisional foe that they have a lot of issues. You got to win this ball game by any means necessary. Luckily for Pittsburgh, they did so with style. Right? Aaron Rodgers is having fun. That's the most important thing. Aaron Rodgers is very, very efficient, and he's making the other guys around him better. The offensive line has grown. You look at DK Metcalf, he's embraced that new role within the offense, being the ultimate wide receiver one and creating separation and coming down with big-time plays. The running game led with Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell. They're doing a great job as well. So the future in terms of this season, barring a great slate of health, it should be bright. because of everything that's going on in their neighborhood in the AFC North. And lastly, the defense. They made Dillon Gabriel look like a rookie quarterback. They made him struggle. They touched him up. At the end of the game, when you looked at his jersey, you're going to have to use extra bleach to get some of those grass stains out of it because he was constantly on the ground. 6 sacks, and they missed another 3 or 4 on him as well. So collectively for the Pittsburgh Steelers, you did what you were supposed to do, and that's what good teams do. Take care of the teams you're supposed to take care of.
That's what impressed me the most is the fact that they didn't allow a bad offense to gain confidence. And you talk about Dillon Gabriel getting peppered up by the Steelers defense. Everyone in the Browns uniform got peppered up because we saw backs getting tagged. We saw Njoku get tagged. We saw receivers getting tagged. So they let it be known that this is not going to happen on our watch, on our Sunday in Pittsburgh. So I love that they went out there and took control defensively first before the offense got going because this was a low-scoring game early on, and then Pittsburgh opened up with their offensive passing attack. But at the end of the day, this defense led from the front today, didn't give that offense confidence, and the offense did the rest.
Just to reiterate, Dillon Gabriel, the rookie quarterback, 29 of 52 for 221, JJ. It's going to be hard to develop when you're in a negative game script this way, but it's also, as we heard JJ Watt just say, going to be hard to develop when that conversation is happening. Maybe not as actively as it is outside the building, inside, but how do you stack it up right now with a young quarterback through a couple?
I can tell you with great confidence that the conversation is much greater outside the building than inside the building. And I think J.J. Watt alluded to that and spoke to that quite well. 52 pass attempts, 58 dropbacks. You got to include the sacks as well. For a team that this game was not out of hand really until the fourth quarter. This was a 10-point game going into the fourth quarter. There's no reason for your rookie quarterback to be dropping back nearly 60 times. I understand maybe it's not working with Quinshon Judkins, who only had 3 yards per carry today. I get it. But, man, you have to attempt to run this football just a little bit more. You mentioned how the Browns aren't that great of a team. This record could and probably should be looking a lot different right now. You go back to that Week 1 game that they had, I think, against the Bengals. Probably should have won that game. Very close one there in London last week against the Vikings that they arguably could have won there. Ball bounces a couple of different ways. You could be talking about a 3-win Browns team right now. And now you have Dillon Gabriel attempting to pass the football 58 times against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense in his his first start on U.S. soil. You're not going to win a football game.
To all those points, maybe more pressure to Prodigy here on a Steelers team that's ahead of schedule. I don't know what that schedule looks like. The schedule is right now with a 41-year-old quarterback. Do you see them on the open market maybe pushing their chips to the middle of the table and filling in some spots that they still identify they need to?
They could. We also have to remember what they did in the offseason. Right. So, yes, they go out and get Aaron Rodgers, not just get him, but they wait for him. And so that was very un-Steelers-like. They go out and they get DK Metcalf and sent a day 2 pick in order to acquire him and then paid him at the time as the highest paid player in Pittsburgh Steelers history. And then they went out and got Jalen Ramsey and sent away Minkah Fitzpatrick. They have done sort of a lot of what you would expect a potential.
Pittsburgh, stand up. Because the Steelers just dominated the Cleveland Browns in a statement win that sent a thunderous message to the entire AFC North. The final score, 23-9, doesn't just tell the story of another victory. It tells the story of a defense that refused to bend, an offense that found its rhythm when it mattered, and a team that is starting to look like a legitimate contender for the AFC crown. From the very first drive, it was clear that the Steelers came to play. Aaron Rodgers opened things up with a 36-yard laser to Darnell Washington, setting the tone early. Even though the offense stalled in the red zone a few times, Chris Boswell stayed automatic, drilling kicks from 44, 50, and 48 yards to give Pittsburgh a commanding early lead. It wasn't flashy. It was classic Steelers football, methodical, disciplined, ruthless. And then came the heart of this win, the defense. T.J. Watt and Nick Herbig were absolute nightmares for Browns rookie quarterback Dillon Gabriel, who looked completely overwhelmed all afternoon. Watt's presence alone was enough to dictate protection schemes, while Herbig delivered what might have been the best performance of his young career: 2 sacks, multiple pressures, and constant disruption. Mike Tomlin even called him the 12th defender, a rare honor that speaks volumes about what this rookie means to the future of this defense. But the headline belongs to one man, Jalen Ramsey. The star cornerback, traded in the offseason in one of Omar Khan's boldest moves, just recorded the first multi-sack game of his career. Let that sink in. Ramsey, the shutdown corner, turned hybrid safety, and now Swiss Army knife of this defense. Took down the quarterback twice. He's becoming the defensive chess piece Tomlin always dreamed of, a player who can line up anywhere and make impact plays from every position. Ramsey himself laughed after the game, saying, "I played in a game with T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett, and I had 2 sacks? That's crazy." It's not just crazy, it's historic. The decision to move on from Minkah Fitzpatrick and bring in Ramsey was controversial at first, but this performance proved it was the right call. Ramsey has transformed this defense. His ability to play nickel, safety, or outside corner gives Pittsburgh a level of flexibility no other team in the division can match. Aaron Rodgers, meanwhile, showed why he's still one of the most cerebral quarterbacks in football. He wasn't forced to carry the game. He managed it with surgical precision. 21 of 30 for 235 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a beautiful 25-yard strike to DK Metcalf and a smart red zone connection to Connor Hayward, who's quietly becoming a reliable red zone option. Let's not forget the unsung heroes. Jalen Warren and Caleb Johnson pounded the ball on the ground, creating balance and keeping the Cleveland front seven honest. Jonnu Smith chipped in with crucial catches that kept drives alive. And Darnell Washington, what a game! His athleticism continues to shine as he becomes one of Rodgers' early down targets. But this victory didn't come without pain. Steelers fans held their breath when special teams captain Miles Killebrew went down with what looked like a serious knee injury. Mike Tomlin called it significant, and while that's a gut punch, this team is built on depth and heart. Connor Hayward, Ben Skowronek, and rookie Jack Sawyer will now step up on special teams, and you can bet Killebrew's leadership will still echo through that locker room even from the sidelines. Another scare came from the secondary. Joey Porter Jr. briefly left the game after taking a hit to the head. Darius Slay banged up his shoulder, and even Ramsey was shaken early before returning to dominate. It was a tough, physical AFC North game, exactly the kind Pittsburgh thrives in. After the win, Mike Tomlin didn't celebrate. He corrected. He said the one area the Steelers must improve is penalties. The team had 10 flags for 59 yards, something he called unacceptable. But that's what separates great coaches. Even in victory, Tomlin is chasing perfection. He said, "You can't beat anybody when you're beating yourself." That's accountability, and that's why this locker room trusts him completely. As for Aaron Rodgers, he sent a message of his own, not to the Browns, but to the organization. He criticized the Acrisure Stadium field conditions, calling it borderline unplayable. He mentioned that the field was beat up and even hinted that it contributed to Killebrew's injury. He wasn't wrong. Boswell slipped on a late field goal attempt because of the turf, and reports confirm new side is already being laid this week. Rodgers' leadership and willingness to speak up for his teammates are part of what's making this group stronger every week. Now let's talk about the star on offense, DK Metcalf. The man is on a mission. Against the Browns, he hauled in 4 catches for 95 yards and a touchdown, marking his 4th straight game with a score, a new career high. He admitted the offense still needs to find its rhythm early, but he praised the defense for holding it down. In his words, "We keep finding different ways to win. The defense keeps keeping us in games whenever we load through the first half." That's leadership and self-awareness, exactly what you want from your WR1. This victory also showcased the Steelers' incredible complementary football. The defense forced 3 field goals and never allowed Cleveland to reach the end zone. The offense capitalized when it mattered, turning field goals into touchdowns in the second half. And special teams, despite the injuries, still executed under pressure. Pittsburgh is now 4-1 and could have the AFC North practically wrapped up by Halloween. Let that sink in. After years of inconsistent starts, this team is finally putting together complete performances week after week. Rodgers is playing efficient football, the defense is terrorizing quarterbacks, and the locker room chemistry feels different. It feels united. This is vintage Steelers football. Physical, intelligent, resilient, and unshakably confident. The Browns haven't beaten the Steelers in Pittsburgh since 2003, and after this game, that streak looks safe for another decade. Steelers Nation, this win was more than just another W. It was a message. The black and gold are back, and they're here to take control of the AFC North. With the Bengals up next on Thursday night, this team has a chance to plant their flag at the top of the division and let the entire league know this is Pittsburgh's year. So now I want to hear from you. What impressed you most about this win? Was it Ramsey's historic 2-sack game, Rodgers' calm efficiency, or the relentless defense that shut the Browns down completely? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe to Steelers Nation Wire for more passionate coverage, reactions, and breakdowns every single week. Because if there's one thing that's clear, the Steelers are rolling, and the AFC better be ready for what's coming.